at Easter Road, having our wee hearts broken or filled with pride, whichever way you look at it, as Hibs narrowly lost with a minute and a half of extra time left to go to Midtjylland. It was a tough night. Joe, I'll start with you tonight. What did you make of it all?
Hibs covered themselves with pride. I mean, let's be honest, for those of us that were at the game, we were under the cosh for most of the game. Any reports you read to the contrary, I think were mistaken.
Hmm.
We were constantly under the cosh. To hold them to 0-0 at full time and to get within a minute and a half of penalties was a great thing, because this is a very, very good Michelin team that cost nearly 100 million to put together. So Hibs did great. That said, it quickly highlighted where Hibs need to add to the squad this year.
Uh-huh.
We need to add another midfield player. We're not getting Triantis, that's almost certain. My pal Dylan Levitt has to be played further forward, in my view. He's not good way back at number 6. But notwithstanding that, the whole team credited themselves well. There were one or two weaker performances. Chris Cadden didn't have the best game in the world.
Uh-huh.
But by and large, the team played their hearts out, and we can only be proud and applaud our Hibees.
Totally agree. Karen, you mentioned about having a hard night there. I think it was their number 58, who's, is it Smithsray or something like that? His name was, I've kind of butchered that, I think. I'm trying to get it from memory. Simser, I think it was. Uh, he's a terrific player, though. Like, he gave Cadden a torrid time, didn't he?
We're up against sheer class right across the pitch. So, but I do think that Cadden didn't have one of his better games, notwithstanding that fact. Um, and I'm still bemused about some of the Gray substitutions. And we've got £1 million centre forward. We're bringing him in well into the extra time part. Why did he wait so long?
Uh-huh.
Or why did we pay £1 million for a guy we're not going to play? I'm kind of bemused about that slightly. But I'd be interested to hear what the others think.
And what did you think of the performance overall, though, Joe? I mean, you sort of say, like, filled with pride and lots of positives there.
The very fact that we've got this top class side to 0-0 at full time, having been outplayed for most of it, Hibs are a very, very hard team to beat.
Hmm.
Very, very hard team to beat. He seems together, but he just slightly off piste at the moment. We might have sneaked a goal
Yeah.
earlier on, but by and large, but we do need to add another midfield, because take away the midfield three that we've got just now, any of them fall injured, we're in the SH1T. We need to add another player to the pool,
Yeah.
in my view.
Okay, Stephen, I'll bring you in next. What did you make of it last night?
Difficult to disagree with anything Joe said there. I said to a mate I went with, when you play against teams that are pretty far ahead of you in terms of quality all across the pitch, for 8, 9 times out of 10, you'll probably lose the game. Case in point, our record against Rangers and Celtic in
Hmm.
recent years. But the fact that we've taken them 90 minutes, 2 weeks in a row, and got a draw out of it is a credit to the way that the team was set up and defended. Their manager, what was he called, Moron Morenson, said after the game that on balance of play and chances created, they deserve to go through. Yeah, you can look at the facts in isolation all you want, but Jordan Smith, really beyond routine saves, had nothing to do with the entire game, and he's been beaten by two exceptional long-range goals. One, obviously, the set piece, an overhead kick. I was in the east stand at the Dunbar end, so I was right in line with the guy when he did the overhead kick. I didn't realise until I watched the replay, but he's actually gone away from goal when he makes contact, so it's not like it's a standing start. It's just an incredible piece of individual
Yeah.
brilliance. And across, David Gray said it, across 210 minutes, that's what's beaten us. So in terms of Hibs, the solidity of the team was fantastic. I said to my mate as well, because we were quite high up in these stands, you can actually see the 5-3-2 as it's set up to defend. And it looks so rigid, it looks so composed. Everybody knows where they need to be. And I actually think standout player last night was probably Josh Mulligan. I thought he was outstanding. I actually also now think that he's a starter. I think he's that good. Even when he was
Yeah.
deployed on the right hand side, I thought he was outstanding. Him, McGrath, Levitt. Levitt pulled some passes out of the bag that were just like, how the hell's he seen that at pitch level? So absolutely devastated to go out, and I really felt for the players when that overhead kick went in, because I think despite the chances and the stats, if you look at the balance of play across the two games, we did more than enough, I think, to get to the penalties, and it was just gutting that we fell 90 seconds short.
One of the frustrating things about the guy that scored the goal. So I went prior to the first leg. I went on a Michelin podcast to kind of give a Hibs perspective, and I reached out to the guy that hosts it earlier on today. He said, "Go just write me a few words about how you thought Hibs did." And we'll share it. He's wrote too long to share it just now. We'll share it for the Long Bags episode on Sunday. But one of the things he said was the boy that scored the goal, they'd bought him a couple of seasons ago for a lot of money, and he's been a flop. He'd fallen out with the coach and everything, and he was only in the squad last night because other couple of players were unavailable. So I mean, it's just how unlucky can you get? The guy's not even meant to be there, and then he pops up with an overhead kick. Stephen, you mentioned like a few players that stood out. You mentioned Mulligan in particular. What was it about his performance that you liked?
Just how combative he is. He was just everywhere. If he lost, I think there was one occasion he lost the ball, and before the guy could really get the ball under control and move forward, Mulligan had not only got back goal side and was in a position to make the challenge, and I think he then won the ball back as well. He just looks a powerhouse of a player as well. I'd said that he looked impressive against Essen, but seeing him in a competitive game, I think right now he's one of the first names in that team sheet. And the fact he's so versatile that he can play in other areas as well. Because I would agree with Joe that Cadden perhaps maybe looked a little bit out of his depth at that level. I don't think he had a particularly awful game, but I think he had a good chance I want to say it was the second half of normal time, where rather than the touch taking him in towards the goal, he almost keeps going towards the byline. He's obviously got it in his head through years of coaching that if you're a winger, if you're a right wing back, you get to the byline. Well, if you're in a position to cut in and get the shot away, you come in and then you drive the shot across the goalkeeper, but he failed to do either. And I think that was probably one of the best chances we had. But I just think he's clearly been brought in based on really good scouting, and I think I should have read it elsewhere several times that Dundee fans think he was probably the best out of the three that left him in the last year or so. So I can see big things from him. I think right now with Janton is almost certainly not coming back. It looks like a pretty shrewd bit of business to get him in.
I thought he was excellent last night. It's funny because after the Bolton game, if we cast our mind back a couple of weeks, that same midfield three probably had quite a few folk questioning whether they would be up to the task. But I think over the last two games against Michelin, they've showed that they're quite capable. How do you think they would do, Stephen, against a team where we're expected to have more of the ball?
That's where you would probably take Joe's advice and move one of the three of them a little bit further forward. I don't think you need the three across a line if you've got most of the possession and you're doing most of the attacking. So you can maybe change it into a slight diamond. So I would say of the three, you're probably looking at Levitt being the one that steps forward a little bit. I fully expect a different game on Sunday where we have more of the ball, and you would be looking to exploit the creativity of Levitt in a slightly further forward area. So that would be my take on it. I'm not entirely sure we would go with almost a flat back five against Dundee either. It'd probably all be more the 3-5-2 on Sunday, I would expect.
Aye, it's a funny thing. If we hadn't gone the distance, like the players looked absolutely out on their arse by the full time whistle at the end of the extra time. It kind of makes you think it might not be quite as easy as, not that it would have been easy on Sunday, but I was really confident because Dundee looked shite. And now you have that sort of a bit of a, will we be leggy when we go there? I'm just going to get some comments for YouTube, and then, John, I'll bring you in. So, me said, hi guys, Nicky's hamstring goes again. Goes against Celtic, barely plays since, goes again last night, a nightmare, honestly. Stevie said, evening all, guess we're all still utterly gutted about last night. It was a hard one to take. Guess we just have to be happy. We gave ourselves the chance to play at this level. Ara said, what a horrible lot they are. Pathetic, feigning injury. Ref was rotten and allowed a lot of nonsense. I tell you what, Chris Cadden's booking was a nonsense. There was a few bad decisions in the game, but I didn't think the referee was awful. But that booking was dreadful. Ian said the OG's in the house tonight. Yep, lots of familiar faces. Stuart said, Ara, sorry to burst your bubble, but we did it last week in Denmark. Yep, for Hibs carrying on. Kenneth said, evening everyone. Stevie said the amount of 2v1s they had down the wings was frightening. I think we played too narrow. The substitutions were awful. Sandy said, evening to you all. We were brilliant without a result. Hoping that you all talk about the Dundee game and Belgrade. John said, "Evening bangers, what a night! Hell of a sucker punch at the end by an absolute belter of a goal. Glad it wasn't from a howler. We gave everything and can be proud of the lads." Uh, I'll come back to some of the other ones when we go there. John, I'll bring you in just now. What did you think last night?
10 out of 10 to the fans that were there. I thought
Hmm.
it was a cracking atmosphere, best for a few years. There's been some good atmospheres, particularly last season, but it was so many parts of the ground starting to sing in, and I thought they were there for the whole night. It was brilliant. Disappointing end. I thought Gray got it pretty much spot on. I think it's very easy afterwards when you don't get the result to say, well, actually, you could have gone two banks of four. That opens up the middle. The number of times we were able to close down their strikers because we basically had six players in a very, very small box. At the edge of the area, sort of across the D. That was the plan to take it away, that area away from them. That worked. I was thinking back in terms of the backs to the wall performances. Aberdeen won a game against Celtic to win the cup, which clearly kicked us. But they played nowhere near as well as we did last
Yeah,
night, and got something out of that game. They missed a couple of clear cut chances. But we had them as well. Boyle in the second minute. Doesn't get it out of his feet. The defender gets a block. We've got shots for range. We've got headers that have gone in. We've got that bit where Boyle picks up the ball when he's offside, and Ellie is he running onto it to beat the defender. With about 2 minutes to go at the end of the match,
hmm,
we had opportunities there, and I think that's the thing that we have to look back on. There can be you can sometimes make the mistake of you judge what happened by the outcome. It's how are we feeling all the way along? Yeah, edge of the seat stuff. It looked as if they had some 10 or 20 million pound players on the pitch at times. We put the graft down, we closed down spaces. Um, I don't think there was a failure on the pitch in terms of stuff. I expected them to go for Chrissy Cadden on that side, or Chris Cadden on that
yeah.
side, simply because right back isn't his position. Right wing back is his position further up the pitch. And that's where the loss of Miller sort of comes in because I think Miller would have started ahead of him. But no, I think that we got it spot on in terms of how we approached the game. We negated a very, very good team for much of the game, and we had our chances. We can talk about their worldies. I don't know whether it comes off Hoylett's left foot when he's going to try and strike it at the end, but I've never seen him fluff a ball like that. He's
Yeah.
so cultured in his foot. I mean, those sort of things. So I think Gray got it right. You never settle for defeat. I can't remember the exact quote, but you never accept defeat. You never settle for it. It's never good enough. But there's ways. And my one reflection today is if you're going to go out, then you do it in a penalty shootout because there will be somebody who will be absolutely roasted by the fans because of that. I've watched
Aye.
us lose to Hamilton. I've watched us lose to Aberdeen in the cup. Somebody always comes out as the fall guy in those situations if you don't win. John McGinn is probably the only one who's got any sort of a lifeline for missing a penalty.
Do you think their manager's decision to bring on the goalkeeper
Mm.
with a minute and a half, 2 minutes left to go? Do you think
Mm.
obviously there's a part of him playing for penalties, and if it goes there, he's putting on a keeper that's suited to it.
Mm.
But do you think there's like a wee psychological thing there that you kind of by putting the keeper on, you're telling the opposition that we're not looking to win it now, we're going for penalties as well, and maybe it sort of tempts you to switch off a wee bit.
It was just bad luck. The ball goes into our left side. We win the header, but Meg was trying to mark three different people. Keeps his position in the back line, but there's three players out there. We just got caught. With the players in the wrong position. And as I think Stevie pointed out, the boy's going away for goal. So he moves off Rocky back the way to get the ball. We've seen ones like that in the past where, yeah, the slow down shows that actually it came off the shin. I think it was Rooney's one and all these sort of things.
Yeah,
He caught that sweet as a nut. And when talented, quality players put their A game into something and catch it sweet, Yeah. It's got to be hitting Smith for him to save it. If it's
Aye.
going either side of him, he's not got a chance.
Okay, Ian, I'm going to come and get your thoughts in a second. Just going to catch up on YouTube. Stuart said, well said, Joe. Totally agree on the substitutions. Baffling to say the least. Kenny said, I agree with Joe. Why play Yuan on the left and Nicky Cadden on the right? A bit baffling. Stevie said their fitness, considering they played on Monday, was superb. They totally overran us in the second half, and we were lucky to take it to extra time. Their first goal reminded me so much of Andy Halliday's goal in the 2016 Scottish Cup final. Stuart said the movement of the Danes was tremendous, and we fought them all the way. Luckily, we won't play such a well-drilled team again this season. Stevie said, been suffering from overhead kickitis all day. Keep replaying the goal in my head. Absolute sickener. Donna said, whole team gave their all, left everything on the park. They absolutely did. Kieran said, very confused as to why we spent all that money on the striker to not play a major part in a £10 million game. Boyle was finished yesterday after 60 minutes. Campbell seems to be playing up front over him. Green Tea said, agree about Mulligan. When we bought him, thought he'd be one for the future, but he has been outstanding. Player care and support services said the team is full of character and resilience, and they fight for each other. The togetherness in the stadium last night is all down to the team, gaffer and staff who've all worked so hard. Proud. Me said Chris Cadden is seriously struggling. Blair Robert said Miller is away for 1 million. We'll try and get onto that. Vince said big striker needed and cover at right back. Cadden was targeted. Right, Ian, I'll bring you in now. What were your thoughts on last night?
Well, it's funny because I think I'm at odds completely with what John and Stevie said, and I think it's probably because I was on such a high from Denmark, the trip itself and the atmosphere at the match. I was really disappointed last night with the result and the performance, and I think as I mentioned last week, I felt we had the right game plan in Denmark. There were tremendous performances from our starting 11 last week, and my only criticism last week was the substitutions were poor and had little impact. But yesterday, I felt we got the game plan wrong. I felt we got the starting 11 selection wrong. Our defence again last night was excellent. Our midfield lost the ball too often, and up front, I can't really fault us. But it was so obvious that we started the game not pressing at all in the way we had in Denmark. We stood off them till the halfway line. And of course, they then built up confidence the more they had the ball. The atmosphere, I felt, was pretty much non-existent, except when we had chances and got the ball in the net, rightly or wrongly, as a goal. But I think it was really flat because we chose to let Michelin have the ball. And apart from the occasional boo, of course, the crowd were simply not engaged or excited. And I think we lost the home advantage because we chose to defend. So the whole home advantage with the atmosphere, hey, Easter Road will be rocking. Well, it wasn't, because most of the time they had the ball, and so we weren't cheering. But Nicky Cadden, I think, should have played from the start. Probably wouldn't have pulled his hamstring if he had, but I think he should have played from the start instead of Jordan. Jordan had a good game, but Nicky would have scared the shit out of them because he was a completely unknown dimension to them in the way he did with his deflected shot. Because that was a great shot. That's the first decent shot we'd had like that. And Ellie, of course, when he came on, he had an impact that I think Nicky Cadden could have had from the start. And I know somebody say it would have been naive of us to actually take the game to them from the start, and to attack, but it really would have got the crowd going instead of leaving them having the ball. And I was very disappointed, funnily enough, with, contrary to what Stephen and John are saying, and somebody else is saying, I was very disappointed with Jamie McGrath and Josh Mulligan because I'd never really noticed them when they played against us. And I expected them to be really high quality, better than the players we already had. I expected them to be better than our own guys. But obviously, we've only had a few games to judge them on. And they look like good players, but they don't necessarily look capable of taking us to the next level. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm proved wrong there. But again, Dylan Levitt was brilliant. He was better than both, although he was really tightly marked after the impact he had at Denmark. I mean, one of the positives was obviously seeing Ellie back at his sort of mercurial best, Cleese had no impact whatsoever again. And Josh Campbell actually had to yell at Cleese at one time to simply get him to run. Again, I was pleased to see Canayo. He got another good run out. And unfortunately, Josh Campbell was all over the place, and I love him, but that's one of the worst performances I've seen Josh have. I felt the goals were simply as a result of that constant pressure they put us under. I mean, they had 31 shots and 10 of them on target. And when I was coaching, I always told the players that one in every 3 shots had to be on target, and for every 3 they got on target, one would be a goal. And that's just that constant pressure. They just, as Steve or Joe said, they just wore us down. And Smith had an excellent game. Funnily enough, Stevie, I didn't see. I was right behind the goals because I wasn't in my normal seat. So to me, he had excellent saves, and I didn't regard these as routine saves. And the fabulous back three. I mean, the fabulous back three we've got are certainly good enough for our league. That's the main thing. Unfortunately, O'Hara headed straight at the keeper when he should have scored, and literally from, I don't know, 3 yards. And Rocky did exactly the same later on, straight at the keeper. And I didn't think we deserved to win last night because we didn't have the balls to take the game to them. And if we had, we could have brought back a few thousand more supporters who were there last night who maybe won't come back for a while.
Ian, you mentioned Warren O'Hara, and amongst that, he was a player that probably folk had quite a lot of doubts about coming into this season. The last 2 games at this level, I thought he's been excellent. What did you make of his overall performance?
I've never had any doubts with him right from the start. He's a terrific player. We're enormously strong at the back. I didn't know that Miller was talked about being leaving, but certainly Ekpiteta, I would have him on in a heartbeat as well. So I think we've got tremendous players at the back. That's the strongest area, I would argue.
And Grant Hanley's getting quoted as saying he was at the game last night. Would you take him in the back three, and if so, who would he replace?
No, I wouldn't, because the most important thing is the continuity. The 3 of them together, they've always got a lot of confidence. They're constantly punching each other when they do something bad, or supporting each other when they fuck up. So I don't see how he would fit in. I do think though that Joe Newell will not have a problem getting back in the team, because I think he is a better player than both Mulligan and Jamie Mura.
And you also mentioned Megwa. Again, Megwa was another one that folk had been starting to see the sort of first signs of people writing him off. But he's come on in both these games and not done himself any harm at all.
He had one screw up against in Denmark where he let the guy get to the byline. But he looked good last night. He was something cover for an Ellie not tackling. As usual, Ellie didn't tackle. What a surprise. But Canaio, having a full season part of Thistle will have made him, will have given him the experience he needed. And I wondered about if he was playing because Miller was going to leave. I didn't know, but that is my only thought, is why, I mean, obviously Miller did get hurt, but I wouldn't have any problem with Canaio being on there initially as a backup to Chris Cadden. I thought Chris was okay. Chris is always okay. But they did get down Chris's side. But Mulligan got beat to the byline as well one time. So they're a very, very good team. And the guy that scored the goal, my mate, who's a Michelin supporter, of course, he, as you would expect, he messaged me. And of course, he described the guy as a comeback kid, because he has come back from nowhere, And I was unfortunately right behind the goals to see his overhead kick.
It was just like a proper Roy the Rover style finish, wasn't it? Like just gutted.
I think Tubby Morton might have saved it actually.
Tubby Morton would have, yeah.
Tubby Morton might have saved it.
Thanks, Ian. Jeff, I'll bring you in. What about you? What were your thoughts on last night?
Almost a complete opposite to Ian's, but Mulligan I thought was outstanding last night against a team who physically were probably faster and a little bit fitter than us. That's what you get when you pay millions. You look at the physiology of the player. And that's why we probably didn't chase the game in the second half, because we'd be chasing that ball all the time. If we'd gone gung-ho, they would have just picked us off. We limited them to basically shots from range. And one time when the guy cut in and blasted it over with his right foot, should have done better. But Mulligan, I am really excited about him now. I've seen him in the flesh a couple of times. He looks, he's going to be a star. Bowie played well against 2 very good centre-halves. gave them a lot of trouble, pinned them down a few times. Maybe should have done better the second half where he looked like he was getting it on his left foot on the edge of the box, and it just kind of ran away.
Just got away from him, yeah, didn't it?
I was waiting for the the net to bulge. McGrath covered. What an engine he's got! When I watched him for Aberdeen, to be honest, I wasn't that impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
But the 2 games I've seen him for Hibs in the competitive games, what a player! What an engine! And again, made 1 or 2 maybe like they all did, and I put it down to mental fatigue and physical fatigue near the end. You try to get the ball out your feet, play the pass. They were closing down very quickly, and just a really good performance against a team that were technically better than us and physically had us beaten for pace in a couple of areas, which was concerning. But we do what we do when you got absolute pace against you. You sit back a little bit and don't give you any space behind, which is what we did.
There was definitely a couple of times where you were looking at. I think Mulligan had one run on the right that he tried to take the guy on, and he looked at initially like he was quite confident to do it, and the guy just breezed past him.
Yeah.
One of the criticisms that we were hearing around about us in the stand last night was about the sort of lack of precision in our play and the lack of care that we were taking over our passes. But Jeff, you play football to quite a good level. When you're up against a team who's that much better and who are playing the ball really fast and really precise, is there a temptation that when you get the ball you feel like you have to play it at a tempo faster than you're capable of just to keep up?
There's a couple of things. One, you probably don't get as much time. Depends on the team you're playing. Sometimes they let you have the ball because they know you're not going to do anything with it because you're that shy in their eyes. But sometimes they're probably a little bit more physical than what you're used to. When I say physical, I don't mean kicking you up down the park. I just mean that they're there. They're getting the foot in. They're not giving you the time to turn and look up and play the pass. They're in your face, and it does make a difference. And it can hurry you, can make you misplace passes. We didn't misplace a lot of passes, but where we misplaced them, where it was most noticeable, was in the final third. Mm-hmm. We had situations we could really hurt them. We just, what was in reality quite a simple ball. I can't think of any specifics, but I remember at the game thinking, just play it out wide or just play it to, So yeah, mental fatigue. And I thought the game plan was from David Gray was almost spot on. It took 2 worldies to 3 worldies to beat us over the 2 legs. We could have scored more goals. Unlucky with the offside with Bowie. It was Boyle that was offside, not Bowie.
Aye. Boyle done for interfering.
What
do you think of that?
It did take the keeper's attention away, but the keeper wasn't going to save that anyway. It was just anyway. But that's by the by. So it does make a difference when you're playing a better team. And what I did notice when we used to play, say, when Selkirk were at the top of their game, they were a bastard to play against in East Scotland League. They paid a lot of money. They had big players. They were fast. You play another team the following week, it was like, oh, thank goodness. I might get a few more chances. I won't be absolutely blown out my arse after 20 minutes chasing, a guy who's faster than me. So I think they'll need to obviously recover for Sunday, but they'll look forward to playing a team that are not as technical, not as physical, not as fast, not as well drilled, and hopefully we can get the result.
How hard or not? I suppose. I'll try not to make it a leading question, but when you have a game like the last 2 Thursdays where we've had to be right at the top of our game, we needed that sort of 100% concentration, and everybody leaving nothing on the pitch because you've got an opponent who are making you work that hard.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you get punished. How hard is it to get to those levels again when you're playing Dundee on Sunday, for example, who don't have that ability and pace about them?
I think the problem with Thursday was the extra time. That'll have taken it really out of the legs. Rocky was hobbling at the end. Nicky Cadden tweaked his hamstring again. I think it was taken off more as a precaution. He wasn't lying there, being stretched off, or like at Celtic Park. He really did it badly. It's hard. I think the good thing about Dundee is that it's Dundee. We owe them a scudding up there. We'll have a full away end. It's not like you're going to the plastic pitch at Livingston after AEK Athens extra time, where they beat us 2-0, and it was just a non-event. We were absolutely pooped. And I've got every confidence in Gray will probably look at the players that played maybe 60 minutes. Yeah, keep them in. The ones that did the full 120, McGrath and Mulligan would be the two that would be maybe looked at given a rest, or certainly play no more than 60 minutes. So yeah, I'm confident he'll have them up. It's early in the season. It's like a triple training session they've had on a Thursday. Get it out of the legs, and mentally it's a bit draining. That's the only thing.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ian. You got your hand up.
Yeah, one of the things I think we should question is why did Nicky Cadden tweak his hamstring? Right, that would suggest to me that the warm up isn't good enough. I mean, you know, tweak your hamstring after you've warmed up. Come on, because I've no doubt if he'd started the game, he wouldn't have tweaked his hamstring. But that seems to me to be very unprofessional, and I don't think we should necessarily just put it down to just.
I could. He could have a weakness there. That's twice his. I don't know if it's the same hamstring. So you've got a potential weakness. Sometimes it can go in 1 minute, it can go after 90 minutes, so you can get through the game. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they would be warmed up, and he would have stretched. If he's got a problem with his hamstring, he would have stretched it, warmed up, had the physios on it, and everything. But I think we're concentrating on minutiae here.
Yeah,
The team played really well. The tactics were good. The support stayed with the team right to the end and after the final whistle. And Dundee, they're in shit order at the moment, but that means fuck all after we've played 120 minutes. But the one thing I'm confident about is Gray will not be taking it easy, and they'll be well drilled again to face a different kind of problem that Dundee will pose us. Simon Murray, Rocky, hopefully if he's fit, will have him in his pocket, and we'll do the business.
Joe, you had your hand up to come in there. On you go.
Point out is, yes, it was 120 minutes, and if we do, as has just been suggested, maybe rest Mulligan or McGrath or both of them, who the hell do we bring in? We're plenty of players at the back, we're plenty of players at the front, but in midfield, we don't have a lot of options, guys.
So who are we looking at? Manny, Campbell?
Manny and Campbell.
I'm not convinced about either of them. Campbell, as you said, had a pretty crap game last night, and I've never been a Campbell fan anyway. And Manny's yet to prove himself, and he certainly is not as good as the two that you'd be resting.
No, but it's Dundee we're playing.
Other than Dylan Levitt, Hibs don't have a class midfield players. We certainly could do with recruiting them. Especially it looks like Triantis is a goner, right? I think we'd all agree on that. So we were talking about spending $1 million to buy Triantis or that ballpark. So we need to do something. And speaking of spending $1 million, why haven't we given our £1 million player a few more minutes? And in the short time he wasn't, he was like a lost soul. Okay, it was only 15, 20 minutes, I know. But not so sure.
Some questions still there. So on the subject of midfielders, Kieran said heard Stuart Armstrong is signing. Serious quality. If so, I mean, Stuart Armstrong would definitely make a difference to the team. There was some whispers online earlier on about Liam Henderson potentially coming back as well, and then a midfielder for young boys as well, who was so far unnamed. Well, he'll have a name, like I just don't know what it is. Like, it's very rare that an adult will get to this age without a name. So somebody will tell what his name is. Just that person isn't me. John, you've got your hand up. I'll bring you in before I just waffle away.
I think one of the more straightforward changes on Sunday will be Hoylett. Hoylett will come in and I would think he'll be behind two up top. I mean, and we'll go to more of a diamond midfield, sort of 3-4-3, whatever we want to think about it. And that by nature will just take one of the midfielders out. I mean, I think that's a straight. I mean, whether Manny could start, that would allow you to take two out. I think these guys play the football at this level because they're good enough and they love it.
Yep.
I mean, it'll be the hardest thing to stop them playing on Sunday more than anything else. And it'll all be about the physio saying who's recovered, whose legs can take it, who's got the engine. I mean, Jeff made a brilliant point earlier on. We look at players on that pitch and we say, why is he able to run? I mean, so when Mulligan in I don't know, it was the second half of extra time or whatever, just the second half, went to do a run down the right. And the guy just ran back past him. Didn't do it over 2 yards, but you're thinking, actually he's quite quick. But you can, whilst you have football ability, you've also got athletic ability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and your price goes up. I mean, being really, really good at football, I mean, but actually only being able to stand in the centre circle and ping a football around because you can't run anywhere is only going to get you so far. So the ones that are getting the £1 million are the ones that can do the sprint, the recoveries, the athleticism and stuff like this. So we've got to do that. We've got to realise that we take that advantage to Dundee. If we've just pinched their best midfielder and they've just been beaten by Alloa in the League Cup,
Yep.
I mean, we've got to sort of go into this with sort of the idea that the squad that we can put out is going to be good enough. In terms of the striker that we've brought in, him and Bowie are not carbon copies of each other. They would probably, yeah, without giving something away, be a big person and a little person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of how you would present them, he looks as if he's going to be fast, but I don't know what the games have been, what the training schedules have been, what time he's had to link into what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody coming on to replace Bowie's style up front is probably what we need rather than Cleege. Cleege will be the Bowie replacement and or the Boyle replacement.
Yeah.
I mean, could start. I mean, on Sunday, but he's not coming on to replace Bowie, and that's what we needed. And that's why I think when he's come on in the games, we've looked as if we've lost something because we've lost that physical presence up top. Kaharovic gave us it last year with sort of the second player. I mean, but again, he wasn't consistent throughout, so it's not trying to say go, but it's that sort of style. So that's why I think he doesn't have the impact we hope for, is because we see Bowie going off and him being up top and looking for the same.
I think that's a brilliant point, John. I hadn't really considered it, but you're right, because it does. If you've got two wee guys or two quick guys, and you don't have the physical presence that you've had before, it definitely does change the dynamic, doesn't it?
You're looking for, he's not going to have the class Dwight Gale, but you're looking for him to have that sort of impact and craft in the game.
Yeah.
You'd like to think that's why he's been brought in, because can he jump a bit higher than his body suggests? Hopefully. Does he have the pace and the knowledge to get around? I mean, is he quite happy to get in the box and take a shot? That's what you're looking for. But his build is more Dwight Gale
Yeah.
than Gary O'Connor.
The squad that we've got just now, contrary to Joe's suggestion that Joe would have us recruiting everybody for the next 6 months, the squad that we've got just now are more than good enough to play in the Premiership. They are. One of the things last night was, if you notice, that David Gray substituted a lot later than the Michelin guy did, right? So Michelin were bringing on really fresh players. Our players were knackered. And I thought, I really hope he's not going to wait until 60 minutes, which is what he always does. And he did. So, the Michelin brought on their subs much earlier, and that's why the guy was able to just breeze past Josh Mulligan. But I think we've got easily good enough players, and I think we should take Dundee apart.
Stephen, I'll bring you in. Or Ian's point there that the last two games and the level of performance probably gives us quite a lot of optimism for the season ahead, isn't it? How do you think we're shaped up for this season?
It certainly gives me a lot of optimism. I'm going toe to toe with in all honesty, vastly superior team in terms of technical ability across I mean, the fact we've done it across two games suggests that last Thursday wasn't a one-off. So it definitely gives me optimism. The fact that we beat 10 of the 11 other teams in the league last season as well, Matty, shows that we can do it. We can absolutely do it. And we've discussed the expectations before. And my point on it was you need to try and at least you need to either exceed your expectations from last season or your performance from last season. If you finish third, as we did last season, we need to finish third with a far, far bigger margin. So yeah, I would agree with a lot of the comments about Sunday. I think there will definitely be at least 4 or 5 changes in the team, and I would be very hopeful that the change of the team won't disrupt the style and the momentum too much. And I honestly do think that, as I think it was Ella John pointed out, Hoylett to come in, what an option to bring in for a Sunday. I definitely think Mann will probably start on Sunday. I can't see the midfield three all starting. Levitt will start because he came off 65, 70 minutes, whatever it was. I think Cleege might start ahead of Boyle, because Boyle, as much as I love the guy, the frustration I have with Boyle, I said this to my mate last night, Boyle would be on 150 to 200 goals in his Hibs career if he could just learn to stay fucking onside. It's infuriating how often he goes well before he needs to go. and he'd be on 150 goals easy if he could just time that run perfectly. So I can't see Boyle starting, and to keep the big man, shorter man up front. Bowie obviously didn't finish the game, so I'd go Bowie and Clegy up front on Sunday. But yeah, to answer the original question, definitely excited, but we need to take care of the lesser teams, so to speak, like Dundee, that we struggled in certain games last season to do. It was well documented. The Ross County drop points, Kelly drop points, Dundee drop points. So Sunday's a great example of, have we improved and moved on from last season, where these are the kind of points that we lost last season.
I think that's a really good point as well, because this is like it's like one of these, because first game of the season, it's almost one, and it's on the back of like a really big European night that folk would probably quite not happy, but sort of understanding if it didn't go our way. You'd go up, well, we've got a bigger game coming up on the Thursday, and it was a tough game for them the Thursday past. But really, that's the wrong attitude. This is one that you need to be going to Dundee and going, come back with 3 points, no matter what, like that. It has to be. I mean, not that they'd go there thinking about no winning, but we need to kind of have that sort of mentality that it's
we absolutely
win
do.
or bust almost.
The last couple of seasons we've got off to pretty much dreadful starts. I think back-to-back seasons we've lost at least, I think, the first 2 or 3 games of the season. We've already found ourselves 5, 6, 7 points behind the upper parts of the league. So yeah, we need to, if we want to be a big club with big ambitions, we need to go into these games thinking Thursday's taking care of itself. We'll use the experience, and hopefully he said after the game to the team last night, this is a disappointment. It's as bizarre as it sounds and twisted logic as it sounds. This is a disappointment you want to have, losing in big games like that and big experiences, because of the work that's been done to get to that stage. And yeah, Sunday's a great opportunity to get off to a good start for the first time in about 3 or 4 seasons.
And on Manny and Clegy, two newish signs. Obviously, Manny's been here a bit longer. Clegy's just in the door. Have we got lessons to learn in the development arc of the likes of Miller and Levitt, Rocky, even, that writing a player off now is probably the wrong thing to do? Like, is it, Manny's going to have a part to play because we need to use the squad when we're in Europe and playing on the Thursday, Sunday. We need to give him a few games and then sort of make that assessment, like to see how he does as a sort of getting a regular, 60 minutes on the pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely spot on. I mean, he's been scouted. He started off at what's the Barca camp? Is it La Masia or something? It's called
something like that. Yeah.
So if he's played there until age 19 or 20, he's obviously got good technical ability. He just found it a bit unfortunate that he's come in almost at the start of a couple of months into the run, where the team's pretty much was picking itself at the time. The team, the 16 or 17 players that were rotated in terms of starting and then coming on to finish the match, he wasn't forming a part of that, because again, that was pretty stable as well. So yeah, he's not been brought in because he's a poor player. He's definitely got a role to play, and he seems to have been, without knowing what's going on behind the scenes, Matt, he seems to have been quite patient. So unless he's happy just to make up the numbers, which I very much doubt as a professional player he is, he's obviously been given assurances that he will get minutes, and for the next couple of weeks at least, we've got Thursday, Sunday. So he'll definitely get minutes. 100% he'll get minutes over the next couple of weeks.
Right, I'm just going to Jack, who sometimes comes on, he couldn't make it tonight, but he sent me some comments to read out. So I'm just going to go there, and then Joe, I'm going to come to you and get your thoughts on Dundee, so you can have a wee think about how to approach that game. So Jack said, my thoughts on the game last night: gutted, lost late last night, but still proud the team gave it their all last night. Can really see how well this team's coming together. I really think David Gray is building something special at the club. Thoughts performance-wise, we did look very threatening in parts, but the thing that frustrated me was we started to stutter as we moved in on goals a few times. The ref and linesman will say they were embarrassing to watch last night. Some of their choices baffled me 100%, but we'll agree the ref was so biased last night. There you go, Jack. So I didn't think the referee was particularly biased, I have to say. I just didn't think he was particularly good. Joe, so Sunday Dundee League campaign kicks off. What are you thinking for it?
Irrespective of the permutations we've all discussed to death on this call just now, the Hibs should take 10 points out of 12 in the first 4 games. If you look who we're playing, we've got St Mirren, we've got
Dundee.
Dundee, And I remember looking at the first 4 fixtures thinking that could be 12 points actually, because we could be out of Europe in 3 weeks' time. We do us over the 2 legs. That's it, finished. The league's the bread and butter. So yes, we want to get through to the qualifying stages of the Conference League by knocking out Partizan Belgrade, but we've got to have our major eyes still on the league. We want to be third again this season. So I think Hibs will beat Dundee easily, irrespective of the permutations. And I hear what everyone in the podcast said about some players being tired and having to rest a few. Hibs have got enough in their squad to beat that Dundee squad. All hands down. I think Hibs will win 3 or 4-1 on Sunday. With the other team a great one to bring in, for instance. He only played a few minutes the other day. So I'm pretty bullish about our Hibees.
Good. John, what were you thinking for Sunday?
I'm expecting quite a good turnaround. I think the players will have got over it today. I think that we have to put a bit of confidence in the coaching staff in the back room. I mean, they have had months to prepare for this scenario in terms of the turnaround. I'm expecting the physio teams to have sorted out which players need what today in terms of the recovery. That's what it all comes down to. I mean, Sunday will be a reflection of how well we as a club have prepared to get the players to it. I think the mentality has changed at the club. We had some poor switch off games last night or last season, but they got fewer as the season went on. I'd like to think that the stability that's there, the new players that have come in, I think it'd be harsh if Mulligan doesn't get the start up there, because I think there's the potential for him just to have the fear factor for the Dundee fans, as we would have with the old player coming back. But no, I go in a level of confidence. I don't 3 or 4 nils come from circumstances normally out with our control. I think it's within our control to go up there, keep a clean sheet, and score 2 goals.
Good. Ian, same question to you. How would you set up for Sunday?
Yeah, that's a key thing. What John's just said about a clean sheet. I think it's important to keep a clean sheet. I would play Mulligan and McGrath because I think they'll revel in this level of football. I think we'll win 3-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I'm just really sad if that's the last of Lewis Miller, because I really enjoyed watching him play. But I think against Dundee, I think we'll win 3-0.
All right, good confident 3-0. Jeff, I'll bring you in for your thoughts on Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, confident. I'm still scarred by, as I say this every week, by previous incarnations of Hibs. Good, absolutely fantastic game on a Thursday, and then don't turn up on the Sunday. It hasn't happened often because we've not been in Europe that often, but yeah, I think we'll do them. Dundee are a shambles at the moment. They've lost all their best players apart from Simon Murray. They've not retained anybody that you'd say, yeah, we'd have him. So yeah, I reckon if we keep a clean sheet, 2-0. Just on the linesman last night, the one that never flagged at all.
Yes.
Ewan was put through, and it was a borderline decision, and he flagged him off when we were still attacking straight away.
That's right, yeah.
I was right. Me and my brother virtually right behind it, and it was close. I thought Ewan was onside. I thought, why the fuck has he put his flag up? Isn't the dictate that you wait until the play goes out and then you go to VAR? What's the point?
The mental one with the offsides was no putting the flag up at all for their goal. Like got rolled out, and I don't know if it was closer if you watch it back, but like at the game, you're going.
It was close because I think it was Obita who wasn't actually in our sight, if you like. It was actually lagging a bit behind, and he nearly played him on, but he was off. But he wasn't as far off as he looked. Well, I'm at the match going, that's an easy one. And then when I saw it on the replay this morning, I'm thinking, oh, it was Obita that just managed to take a step. Otherwise, because he was like playing sort of left wing back. I was slow getting out. Yeah. So yeah, it was. But that one, I still don't understand why he flagged, because it wasn't. He waited. The really obvious one they waited for was Boyle. Boyle was miles offside, squares it. Cadden puts his flag up. Why the? I know it's only something trivial, but it really annoyed me at the time.
Yeah.
Did you notice the referee? Sorry, Jeff. Did you notice the referee then delayed the restart of the game to allow the VAR officials to review it? because the
I
protocol
didn't see
led
that. No,
because
I
there
was
was a
too busy
goal scored.
shouting at the line.
VAR had to review
Sorry.
it.
Yeah, there was a bit of choice language coming out the stand at that point. Anyway, yeah, Sunday, confident we'll win. Gray, it's a different atmosphere around this team. You know, as everyone said, we've only lost 5 games since St Mirren at Easter Road, and 3 of them are going to be Celtic, 1 against Midtjylland and 1 against Aberdeen. That's not bad going.
Yeah, not bad going at all. Boyle should have left that one for Ewan, by the way, as
Oh,
well. I mean, I don't know whether,
I'm
like, I don't
screaming.
think Ewan gave him a shout, which is like frustrating because
I
he,
think
he was
Bob
running,
must
he was
realise
running onto it, and you think just fucking leave it. We were
yeah,
screaming. I was shouting like because we're the
yeah,
lineman for the West. I'm like, fucking leave it, leave it.
yeah,
And, nah, he didn't leave it. He went and ran in, and then that was that. So,
yeah. And that's probably the mental tiredness and the fatigue of just play. You know, he was out on his feet. So yeah, fair enough.
and Stephen, last words for you on Sunday. How do you see it going?
Yeah, similar to a lot of the thoughts of the other guys. I do think we'll make 4 or 5 changes. I can see Ewan starting. I can see Clegy starting. I can certainly see a couple of midfielders starting on the bench, but then coming on to make up the magical 18 that John correctly points out every single week. I'd love famous last words and all that. I would like to see a routine 2 or 3-0. I would like to see us get a couple of early goals, be ahead by a couple of goals at half time, and just then that's where you utilise the squad to make sure that the players that need the rest before keeping in mind we're away the first leg next week, so they'll probably be flying out probably Wednesday morning, I would probably say. So they need to condition ahead of the away leg as well. So I'll go. I won't go all guns blazing, but I'll say 2-0 Hibs.
2-0 Hibs, nice one. And is anybody making the trip out to Belgrade? Nah.
No, I'm in America. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss both legs in the US of fucking A.
Oh yeah, well, you'll see it on they'll be streamed somewhere, but I think
Yeah.
we've got like nuclear subs going into that sort of region now. So if it was the dangerous enough going to Serbia, they've chucked that in the mix. I think I'm just going to stay home.
I went from France. I went from France to Lucerne, but I'm going to be in France, so I don't think I make it from France to Belgrade. Well, I've not told my wife yet.
Yeah.
Tickets on sale for the Easter Road game.
I'm not sure when the tickets will go on sale, but we already tweeted once Hibs put the information out. John, what about you fancy the
There's
trip?
potential that we'll get no tickets.
Yeah.
There's potential that they'll just say it can't be played safely, so no away fans.
I tell you what, I bet you Ultra the Block 7 will be fucking hoping that's the case so they can have a legitimate reason for no going because fuck going up against the Serbian Ultras like it's like we would have went, but there was no tickets, so we'll just have to get them at home. Anyway, Block 7's display was brilliant last night as well. I have to give us some credit for that. It was brilliant at the start of the game. Right, we'll wrap up there. Thanks very much for coming on, everybody. It's been quite cathartic actually getting that out of the system as well because I've been a right cloud hovering over me after that game last night all day. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks for coming on, and we will see you all next time.